of Hudson in order at August 6, 2020. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Alms.
Here.
Alderperson Hall.
Here.
Alderperson Morset.
Here. Excellent, thank you. For those that are on Zoom, if you want to chime in, please let us know by either chat box or just saying, hey, I have something to say on an issue that is on the agenda out there in Zoom land. So number 2, minutes of the regular meeting, April 16th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, minutes of the regular meeting, July 9th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, discussion possible action on the speed hump policy. Is Dean on, Joyce?
No, I don't see him.
What do you got?
Well, did you read
We
through
can-
the policy? Anybody have any
Yeah.
questions about it or concerns?
I wish that Dean was here along with
Yeah,
Mike.
I do
Moreau.
too.
Do we hold it over?
I was just going to say, maybe we could
Let's hold it over.
give him an opportunity to come back. Maybe we'll come back to it if he hops on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll skip that one for now. Number 5, discussion possible action regarding traffic data on 9th Street and Myrtle Street. Is this Mr. McManus?
Yes. Well,
He was the whole stretch, though. He wanted from
yes.
Vine to
I-
St. Croix.
I looked through my email trying to find who made the original complaint about 9th and Myrtle, and I couldn't find it. And so it must have been through either a conversation or a phone call or something. But anyway, he's reinforced the issue. Again, I wish that Dean and Mike were here to discuss this, because Dean had said that this would be a good place to try the speed humps.
But where exactly? He wants it at Myrtle Street?
I'm not sure exactly. Well, Mr.
Speed
McManus
humps or
wanted
speed signs? I'm sorry.
speed humps was what, well, okay, so McManus asked for stop signs.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Dean suggested that maybe this might be a good place to try out the speed humps.
Boy, without any info from him, I don't want to make a recommendation. Overall, I think the policy is okay. I'm not a big fan of it, but we do need some traffic taming
Yes.
in certain areas. And being a lifelong member or citizen of Hudson, the roads never used to be this busy. And I'm realizing that we've grown exponentially and we need a little more control.
Yes.
I
I agree.
I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I like in there the defined parameters.
Mhm.
I think I remember seeing something about the 75% of
Yeah.
neighbors of that being in
Right.
agreement to it, which I think would be important, because it's really about the neighbors that live at that street, right? I mean, it's those people that would be complaining about it. I've always kind of been a little apprehensive about it, but to your point, Randy, it is getting busier. So.
Well,
But-
and
Go ahead.
the data, we got so much data that I can't remember which intersection or which road is which. But there are some people that are zipping through these down these streets, and there's definitely a need to slow them down.
Yeah, but I don't know if we're ready to just throw in these speed humps. I mean, there's a process with your ordinance.
Right, but one of the things that that Dean and Mike suggested was having you can put in temporary speed humps in order to test them out and see what the neighbors think of them, see whether they're effective, whether there are some problems with them, and then they can be removed during the winter so that it's easier to plow.
That's my other concern with the
Right.
permanent.
Hmm.
Yeah, right, they are the ability to go over them, but
Yes. Oh, there's Dean.
oh, is your ears ringing, Dean?
No, but I figured you'd probably be pretty close to needing me here, so sorry about that.
Well, we're actually on 4 and 5 now that you're here with the speed bump policy.
Okay.
What are your overall thoughts? And we're not ready to institute these yet, are we?
Sorry, for some reason my computer cut out there. I missed what you just said there, Randy. Sorry.
We're talking about 4 and 5 on the agenda, the speed
Okay.
bump policy. We're not in a position yet to roll this out to a neighborhood yet, are we?
No, I guess the intention of talking about tonight is kind of more in a general manner, you know, as like, is this the policy we want to adopt for whatever we do in the future, you know, for speed humps? You know, that it could, you know, affect some of the other agenda items that we're talking about tonight.
Well, it is
but
right off the bat. It's going to number 5 on 9th Street in Myrtle.
Sure. Well, I guess I had intended to just kind of talk about where we're at with the speed hump policy and, you know, get kind of the committee's comments, concerns, questions, or whatnot to kind of start refining that before bringing it to council. And I don't know if maybe some of the other items we wait on acting on until we get this speed hump policy kind of hammered out. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but
Well, it depends on the policy itself, and I don't want to, if we need a stop sign somewhere, I just don't want to pollute our streets with speed bumps. That's not what they're intended for, correct? Just like stop signs, we're not throwing them up everywhere, or try not to.
Yep.
So what items would it affect? I mean, I'll let you do the executive summary for us, but which ones are you thinking they would affect on our agenda?
Well, it could potentially affect items 5 and 6.
I'll enjoy this, so go ahead, do it.
At least that's where I see it on the list of things we have to talk about tonight.
All right.
So have you, I know that Mike had talked about getting some temporary speed bumps in order to try things out and see what people's reactions were to the speed humps. Has anything more been said about doing that?
Honestly, I don't think that he has invested in these temporary speed humps at this point.
No, not without the policy in place.
Yeah, it's kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing.
I think we need to, we need to do this policy and get that straightened out.
And yeah, they're not cheap either. So yeah, you want to make sure that we're going to be on board with and moving forward with something as well. So
what are your concerns, Dean, with the policy?
Well, I mean, you can, as you read through it, you can probably tell that there's some certain streets where they don't make a lot of sense to put in, and we listed some examples of where they might not fit in. So I'm just bear with me 1 second. I'm just scrolling down to the speed hump policy in the agenda here.
You got to get past the 600 pages of data that Jeff and
Right. Thanks, Jeff.
The first 600 pages.
So yeah, some of there's a section there for non-eligible streets, and you know, there's certain characteristics of some streets that don't lend themselves to putting these in. So, for example, you know, streets that are designed for faster moving traffic, such as like Carmichael Road, Hanley Road. Probably not a good idea to put in speed humps. Streets that have significant emergency vehicle traffic
No.
volumes, so to speak. So example of that could be on right outside of the new fire station, like Hillcrest Drive or Ward Avenue, like right by the fire station, might not be a good place to put them. Right outside of where you have a bunch of school buses going over there might not be a great idea. So there's certain places where they might not be the best places for them.
So if we talk 9th and Vine, Vine to St. Croix, it's an ancillary, but it's also a throughway. Would that qualify for a speed bump? Or do we need to tame it with a stop sign?
Well,
if everybody else could put their stuff on mute, that would be helpful for background noise.
Sure. 9th Street, it's an interesting street in this area because it's in a residential neighborhood, and so I mean you can definitely, it's like a lot of other residential streets, you have the high potential of having pedestrians crossing the street to get to their cars or go to a friend's house or walk to school or anything like that. But like you said, Randy, it is kind of a through street as well, so it's a little bit higher traffic probably than other residential streets around the area. It's also kind of a funky street because the streets on the side streets on the west side don't line up with the side streets on the east side, so you get a lot of turning on and off and stuff like that too. And I did have some concerns with the speeds that were collected out there. In these residential areas where you can expect to have pedestrians crossing the street, you really don't want people to be going over 20, 25 miles per hour, or 25 miles per hour is the speed limit for the area. You don't want a lot of people going over that speed limit. And I believe the average speed out there is about at the speed limit. So half the people driving on that street are going above the speed limit. So that's a concern. I don't like throwing up stop signs for speed control purposes because you get people blowing through the stop sign because they don't expect anybody to be on the side street, which obviously if you proliferate stop signs out there, then you get people not stopping at places where they really need to be stopping to, if there's a site issue or, that kind of thing. So stop signs, I don't think I would, really want to put up a bunch of stop signs on 9th Street to, be controlling traffic speeds out there. This could be an area where we would look at doing some sort of speed hump or something like that. In the long-term scheme of things, whenever we would redo 9th Street, some other type of speed control measures like bump outs or like other things could be implemented at that point in time. But, kind of as an interim solution, these are something that the speed humps are something that we could look into trying out on a place like 9th Street to slow people down within that residential area.
Okay. And I think that would probably be a spot to start with, but we're going to get some pushback, not necessarily from the neighborhood, which I agree, they probably do see. They're the ones that see what's going on in their neighborhood. We have to listen to them. When they're saying people are speeding through there, we need to address it. And this might be that fix for that type of road. Bill, did you have a question?
Yeah, no, just more of a comment to kind of what you said there, Randy. The effective placements of speed humps that I've ever seen in any kind of community has been when people are trying to get from point A to point B as a shortcut, and they're going through a neighborhood, and so they're going through it quickly. And so I like the idea in the policy around, having a large majority of people that are living right there saying, hey, we need this, right? And so if we see Ninth as one of these areas where, hey, people are cutting in to get from here to there and they're going fast, I mean, that's a perfect place then for speed humps. I guess that's what I was going to say.
Joyce?
Well, I'm thinking that the policy could be changed so that the first step would be to install temporary speed humps to see whether they're effective and accepted by the neighborhood before we do the rest of the work on it.
Well, I'd agree completely with that, for starters, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or before we invest in it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
May I ask, when we're talking about this policy, is it an ordinance or is it just a policy?
Policy.
Okay. And is that something, just a process question here, if we decided that we wanted this policy, this would eventually go to council for approval, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's one where we can change often, but not, you know what I mean? Easier than an ordinance.
Right.
So as we develop data and stuff to back up why we're doing this or placing it in certain neighborhoods, we can justify the policy and write it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, getting input
Yeah,
from our
and-
engineer to on changes that are needed.
Yeah,
Right.
and I will say that before I came on board at the city, Mike Mraz did a lot of research on, looking into kind of the best practices with these things, and that's where some of the numbers came from. That a certain distance away from an intersection or certain distance away from a driveway, et cetera, kind of came from. So it's not just that we're throwing darts at a dartboard to figure out what the numbers are and whatnot, but if we start implementing these things and we find that instead of 100 feet it should be 150 feet, that's something that we could certainly change in the future as we kind of do this trial and error kind of stuff too. So I'm definitely willing to be updating this document as much as we need to be to make most sense for everything.
Dean, do you think that the policy in your mind has the right process and requiring the steps to go in and putting them in? So if we have this agenda, we've got 5 items on here, only one of them qualifies for per reason. Are you comfortable with the policy stating that clear enough?
Sorry, it's my computer's being slow here. So the process for requesting them, that's what the section you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah. So just for those on watching the meeting here, so the process for requesting the speed humps is that whoever's requesting it sends a request to me or Mike Mraz to initiate us to review, to say if this is a good spot or not. They can, shoot us the email or in person or whatnot. We'll initiate a study and analysis of the location, and we'll tell them, hey, we agree or we don't agree with the request, or if we feel like a little tweaking is needed from what the original petitioner said, and then if we wish to proceed, then we would move forward with that. So we have in the process here an impact zone, identifying an impact zone, and then surveying residents and stuff. I'm a little bit I'm kind of conflicted about that portion of it. because I don't want, I like public engagement and input on things, but I also don't want, if it's a really, good idea to try out or something, and if people just aren't understanding the benefit or something like that. I'm not, I'm not exactly sure if this is the right way we've written it, and then maybe you can get some feedback from you guys tonight. If we should, just kind of do this and then kind of, let's say, put in a temporary one and then kind of get people's feedback, or get people's input before we end up putting one in. That's kind of up in the air in my mind. And then,
I think people like to be asked first with stuff like this. and
Or at
then
least,
go ahead.
yeah, at least advise that we're working on this, and then, yeah, have opportunity to let us know what their thoughts are. I'm thinking that a good process would be to first send out information. Yeah, well, first we have to figure out what the impact zone is for each possibility, but then send out a letter advising that we're planning to put a temporary one in so that we can see what effect it has.
We
and
have
then-
to engage the neighborhood.
What's
Okay.
that?
We have to engage the neighborhood.
Yeah, we do.
When we're doing this.
Hmm.
Sure. Okay.
And I think, I don't mean to speak for Joyce and Randy here, but I see that sort of as our role in helping with that conversation.
Sure.
But
Right.
yeah, I think I hear what you're saying, Dean. I don't know that we want it necessarily driven by the neighborhood. You don't want every neighborhood coming out and saying, hey, I want a speed bump. I mean, that's what your concern is, I would assume, Dean?
Yeah, that, or just if there's like loud voices that are vehemently opposed, but kind of the silent majority really likes it, or yeah, I don't know. It's kind of I kind of like what you guys were saying as kind of like advisory notice, kind of saying like, hey, we're putting in this temporary speed hump because we've identified a speeding issue here, and whatever, and then maybe kind of ask after the speed hump is in for a period of time, like, hey, how do you feel about keeping this here? Maybe asking kind of more of the input question at that point in time, and
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me if that's what you guys were actually saying. Sorry if I was putting words in your mouth, but
No, I'm okay with that.
okay.
I mean, well, here's where I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted if, we hear of an issue and we collect the data about that issue. My concern about having this in place is that is our first thing that we go to. I mean, shouldn't there be something a little bit more about, maybe we get a patrol car out there a little bit more to kind of enforce? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there should be some bigger
An enforcement
steps that are
process.
taken. Right, exactly.
Okay.
Take that for what it's worth, I guess.
Sure. No, I mean, it's a good point. Yeah, and these things aren't cheap to put in, for sure, even if they are temporary. I mean, it's an investment to purchase them, and obviously they'll have some wear and tear. We'll have to replace them at some point in time and all that good stuff. So don't want to just be willy-nilly throwing them around.
I think it needs to be developed to where
Yeah.
it's very astringent. You have to meet this point of criteria for us to move forward with it. You have to lay the criteria and stick to it and be consistently sticking to it. Otherwise, we will have everybody wants it.
Right.
And the
Sure.
process starting with enforcement, well, a complaint, enforcement, and then down the line.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that we should probably revamp the process, essentially, to have a little bit more in advance of putting these out there, some A, advisory to the public, and B, kind of trial and error of maybe some easier alternatives or something like that before these go in. I can understand that for sure.
May I ask, Dean, when you say costly, may I ask like what ballpark like one of these is?
Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head, and I probably should have.
I assume we're
looked
talking
into this before I
thousands.
got here, but
Are we talking thousands versus hundreds, that type of thing?
Oh, yeah, thousands,
yeah, the permanent ones for sure are
like 10 to 15,000, I think is.
On a per basis? Per? When you said that, Joyce, is that a per?
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's cheaper to put them in if you're redoing the street. So every time we look at a new street repair, that's when we should be talking about putting them in if we're going to put them in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to just add one, it's pretty expensive to add one.
Got it.
And even the temporary ones, I don't remember what Mike said.
I think they're both.
Yeah, but I don't remember what he said they cost, but those were several $1,000s.
Yeah, I think they're probably I want to say they were in the kind of like $5,000 to $10,000 for the temporary ones, but at least you can move them around, so you get more bang for your buck, so to speak, because you can move them around. But yeah, like Joyce was saying, it's much more cost effective to put them in when you have another project going on that you can lump that in together with. So
got it.
Okay. Any other questions for Dean? So you need to sharpen your pencil, Dean, and get it back to us as soon as you can.
okay.
Hopefully our next meeting. And then that would also probably be the discussion about number 6, Joyce.
Yeah, number 6 is what, Maple Drive?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, same thing. Although
listen,
we've got the buses
hello?
going through there.
I think we have
Can anybody
William
hear me?
McManus.
I've been sitting here listening to this for quite a while, and my phone's about to die. I'm down at City Hall. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I first brought up the issue of 9th Street. We've been living in Hudson since the fall of
Hey,
2004.
can we get your name and address for the record, please, sir?
William McManus,
Okay.
802 9th Street.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I first brought this up in 2005. I then brought it up about 10 years ago at a city council meeting. I don't know if anybody's going to be in favor of speed humps. I know that everyone would be in favor of 3-way stops on 9th Street. And there's a couple of real logical places to put them. I'm sort of just interested in anybody's point of view that we shouldn't put stop signs in. Stop signs are far less expensive than the $20,000 speed humps. But we've got to do something about the speeding on 9th Street. I've been home the last 2 weeks, and I want to tell you about my experience. I'll just take 1 minute of your time because I'm about out of juice anyway. I have seen in the last 2 days people going 50, 60, and 70 miles per hour down 9th Street in front of my house. I'm about 2 blocks north of Vine. Last night there was kids out there at 8, 9 o'clock, easily going 70 miles per hour. You could say, well, we'll get the cops out there more. Let's just wait until the cops aren't there anymore, and we can't afford to hire 5 more cops to patrol 9th Street. But you could put in a couple stop signs pretty easily. Please consider this. I heard this 10 years ago. We can't use stop signs to control traffic flow. Yes, we can. And they're far less expensive than, $15,000, $20,000 changes to the road. Please consider this. Now I'm going to sign off because I'm out of juice, but I'm begging you. I think it's only a matter of time. We've lost 3 pets out there in the last 10 years. I think it's only a matter of time before you lose a couple kids there. And I don't know what price that's going to be. So please give this some consideration. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Ma'am.
Mr. McManus.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dean, I'd like to see you study which, what area or what intersections would possibly be the best on 9th Street.
Best for a stop sign to put in?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. And if you have an argument for or against it, which my guess is it's against because it's the traffic book you have or the regulations. I don't know how that words out, but he brings a good point out.
No, I don't want to, I definitely don't want to belittle anybody's experience with speeding. Obviously, we collected traffic speed, so we know that there are people speeding out there significantly over the speed limit. So I certainly don't want to pour cold water on that. It's just what is the right solution is the question that I'm sure we all want to get to, whether it is speed humps or it's something else or what. So yeah, but I will definitely be, obviously, like we talked about, sharpening the pencil with the speed hump policy, but also looking at some other alternatives for that corridor to.
So I don't know if you want to get with Chief Willem or Mike Mraz or both and go down to that area and kind of identify where you think one, possibly two, might be something to look at.
Here's something to think about too, though. Okay, every single on 9th Street between Vine and St. Croix, every single one of those would be is a T. And Pitt is right in the center. If you wanted to just do one, I would say Pitt would be the place to do it.
I don't know if you're comfortable putting one up right. Are you trying to put one up right away, Joyce?
No, I'm just saying that if if we wanted to just do one stop sign so that we're not, I think 2 stop signs is a little bit too much.
Yeah, I would agree.
So
I just want them
to
to get the best idea over there. And
yeah.
if we have to have another meeting this month, so be it.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
And that was going to be my question. I mean, do we want to take this to have them recommend direct to council?
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And just have the conversation there?
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like it's an urgent need, so.
Yes.
So
The
for the
17th.
August 17th meeting, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need a formal motion on that, do we?
Yeah, you should put that in the record.
Okay. So I move we have direct staff to come up with a recommendation for the next council meeting on is that the 17th?
Yes.
On the 17th? Yep, for stop sign placing on 9th Street. 1, possibly 2. Or should we just recommend for?
Let's just do one, I would think.
Why don't we leave it up to staff? Why don't we
Yeah.
just recommend that
Yep.
they look at stop signs?
Yes, agreed.
Stop
All right.
signs plural.
Right.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion from Chief Willems or anything? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? August 17th, Dean.
Yep. I just put it on my calendar. So.
Thank you. All right, number 7, Joyce, are you okay with 6 then, going to the next meeting?
Yeah, we'll have to, because of the way that is all set up. I don't know that a speed hump would work too well because we've got so many buses going through there.
Yeah.
But we definitely need some. My husband works from home and his office overlooks that intersection. And he said that every day you've got the UPS truck going zipping around there. You've got other vehicles that are zipping through there, and there's really a concern. So, Dean, have you had a chance to look at that intersection?
This is at Chestnut and
Maple.
Maple or Birch? Which?
Maple, right in front of my house.
Right in front of your house.
I can just chime in real quick. The
Oh, yep.
data is from Birch because that's the only place we had a pole we could attach the little counter to. So the original complaint was Maple and Chestnut there, but there's nothing to affix it at Maple. And it's, I mean, Maple and Chestnut is a corner.
Yeah,
So I mean, data would essentially be irrelevant there because nobody's going 40 miles an hour around that corner.
right.
So that's why I put it down by Birch, because then you get a better read of what people are actually doing halfway down Chestnut.
Yep.
So that's all.
Yeah, they have time to accelerate after the curve.
Yeah. And obviously, they would slow down by your house a little bit, but it sounds like they're also kind of taking that curve close to their normal speed on the street too, if I recall talking with you correctly, Joyce.
Yes.
Well, Joyce, what are you trying to accomplish up there? What are you looking to do?
We need to slow the traffic down. You know, somebody hit the fence across the street, so it was somebody driving down Oak behind the high school, and they missed the curve and ended up in the fence across the street from our house. So some of it is they're accelerating down Oak Street, some of it they're accelerating down Chestnut, and they're not slowing down. And then our mailboxes keep getting hit. They haven't been hit recently because we keep moving them in order to try and minimize the damage. But we've got a electrical box transformer right there, right by where we've got the mailboxes. So if they're hitting the mailboxes, there's a problem with the transformer as well.
Okay, so you're looking for a slower stop or speed limit, or what?
I just want the traffic controlled so that people aren't zipping through there as fast. And you know, we've got a lot of kids in that neighborhood too.
Jeff, is there anything about putting up a school zone, or is it too far away?
I think we had that talk back when this first came up with school zones, and I think we can because the road borders the school property. So, and it, you know, I forget the actual statutory language, but I'm pretty sure, 95% sure that we could make it a school zone there. I don't know where the discussion went last time when we talked about it.
I think that might be the first step.
I think so too.
Hmm.
Yeah, having a 15-mile speed limit when children are present would probably be.
You're talking Chestnut too, right?
Well, yeah. How long? Yeah, how far could we extend that school zone? What are the?
I think we can do the bordering streets and the feeder streets to those streets, if I remember correctly.
So then Chestnut.
Let me get with Dean, and we'll figure out exactly what the statute allows.
Okay.
But if I remember correctly, it was the bordering streets and the feeder streets to those.
Let's do that. Do you think you could have that by the 17th?
Well, I'm not going to be at the 17th meeting. I'll be on vacation.
All right, well then let's hold it over till the next meeting.
You want to go right to council, or you want to go to public safety?
With your recommendation, we can go right to council.
All right, let Dean and I get on that school zone issue for
Okay.
Oak and Chestnut and Maple. And we'll put it on the first meeting in September then.
All right,
Okay.
Fair?
Oak is, I was out there, I can't remember, within the last week or two, and Oak is signed for 15 miles per hour right now. It's just that once you get to Maple, it isn't signed as 15 anymore. So Oak is taken care of. It would be kind of Maple and Chestnut to wherever we want to take that. So yeah, we'll look into it though. And
Okay.
all right, good. Thank
Mhm.
you. Number 7, discussion possible action regarding traffic safety on O'Keefe Road and Hanley Road. I requested this to be put on the agenda, and I am recommending that we put a 4-way signs at that intersection now. What it's doing is happenings to be leading into all the development up there. And we need to start addressing the issues at peak hours up there. My recommendation is to put 4. I've heard enough from the constituents up there, but that's a start. And then obviously there's a bigger one on item number 12, which will have to be addressed to a little bit later today, but also at a more serious conversation of finance. So that is my recommendation. I would move that we do that. 4-way stop line at O'Keefe and Hanley Road.
I'll second that.
Any discussion with that?
I do have a question. So on O'Keefe, that's posted as 25, correct?
I believe it's
25.
45.
No, it's 35.
35, yeah, 35 sounds right.
25 on Hanley and O'Keefe is 35. And that begs the other question, if you want to do a 4-way stop sign at that intersection, do you want to change the speed limit on Hanley or on O'Keefe?
Yes, I think we should. It makes sense, right, Jeff and Dean, to do that?
Yeah.
Just based on speed.
My only concern with going down to 25, I'm not opposed to 25 miles per hour, really. It's just that the road is built for a higher speed because it used to be the County Road F. So there's research out there that just changing a speed limit sign doesn't really change a lot of people's behavior, so to speak. So you'll have, if people are going 40 miles per hour out there right now, they might, if you change the speed limit to 25, you might get them to come down to 38 or something like that. But it's not, you're not going to get them all the way down to 25. Not saying it's not worth it, because then we have some more enforcement ability. I'm just throwing it out there that it's not a be all end all for people actually getting.
Well, let's wait. Let's wait until we make this change and make sure those flags are, those stop signs are flagged for folks for temporary. And then we can, come back and revisit the issue if it would help to slow everybody down.
My only argument for reducing the stop sign would be back when that road was built, it was farm fields. Well, heck, it was Bieneman Farm that it went right through.
Right.
Now then it became industrial, right? So 35 was still applicable. Now it's very heavily residential. And the fixed speeds, state of Wisconsin by statute for the residential area should be 25. That should be 25 miles per hour. That's my only argument to it.
Well, then we should do that.
Well, that's.
I'm okay with doing it right away.
Dean and I can talk about that too and see, because I'm not familiar with the research. So if he's got research and he's got a different line of education, I'd be happy to hear that.
But the
I don't
road's been
think you guys just
repurposed.
need to fold to what I say.
The road's
I'd like
been
the opportunity to
repurposed,
talk with Dean.
Yeah, but the road's been repurposed, so we should follow what is building around it.
Mhm.
May
Yeah, so
I ask?
sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, is that road kind of usage like Hanley? I mean, is there any industrial, or is it purely cars?
Oh, it's industrial. I mean, you have the old industrial park right off the backside there, Livingstone Industrial, O'Keefe. I mean, that Swayze. That's all the original industrial park. So there is some industrial traffic, but it's delivery trucks and semis and things like that. Things you don't necessarily need to be going 35 miles an hour through there anyway.
Because every time I hit that, I go down Hanley a lot and stop there. I don't really see any trucks, but I didn't know what that mix was.
Yeah, it's very heavily residential now, and especially now with Catalyst and the hockey arena right there on the corner. That brings in an awful lot of traffic,
Right.
Especially in the winter months. And we've had some pretty significant crashes there. And it is a right-of-way issue, so I would support the stop sign idea. Because that's what it is, failure to yield right-of-way, right? Whether it's visibility or sight lines or the traffic of speed, it's a right-of-way issue up there. I just
Let's
think,
slow them down.
Mhm.
I'm okay with slowing them down.
So a couple of things I would like to throw in. First of all, Jeff is he's collected the traffic data on O'Keefe, but now we're switching over to Hanley, right, Jeff? I think that's where your
that's
counter is right
correct.
now.
I've got the north leg and the south leg of O'Keefe, which, by the way, both of them had over 16,000 vehicles in a 5-day span.
Wow.
And now
We're gonna have 1,200 pages of data on our next one.
and now you don't have to look at all the data. All you have to do is look at the pivot table that I've attached under the analysis.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing the east leg of Hanley Road right now, and then I'll do the west leg of Hanley after that.
Yep.
So that'll be next week, and then that one should be done at the end of next week.
Yeah, so the reason why I bring that up is that those traffic counts, I'm assuming giving the intersection in question, they'll be over the threshold for all-way stops, which shouldn't be an issue out there. But I just wanted to say that we haven't finished that up, so I'm not sure if we need to finish that up before we move forward with installing something there or what. But
we know what it's going to happen.
What are the thresholds, or what information do you need in order to justify the stop sign?
It's
right.
it's an hourly count, so has to be over a certain amount of vehicles per hour. So that's there's a major leg component and a minor leg component to it. So you gotta kind of know what all the legs are doing to be able to meet that threshold. So I will say too that our stop and yield sign policy that we just adopted this year does say that we need to meet the METCD requirements for putting these things in. So I want to make sure we're following that as well. I understand the concerns. I just want to make sure that we've got the case to be completely made. We don't want to get ourselves also in any liability issues or anything either with
policy is a guideline.
I'm sorry?
Policy is a guideline. If it needs to be tweaked, then we tweak it. But safety overrules that for me. Of course, you as an engineer are going to try to throw all these reports and things at us. That's your job.
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn too, but I also just want to say that, we do want to adopt policies that we try to follow. So,
or we change the policy if it's not
I
appropriate.
want to make sure that we don't, just throw that out the window.
Well, we can change it. If it needs to be changed to adopt something for safety, then we'll change it.
Bill has his hand up. Sorry, I'll stop talking.
Bill, go ahead.
Sorry. So again, I'm going to ask process here. So if we recommend for this, is that immediate or is that go to council before it gets placed?
Goes to council.
When is the next round of data supposed to be done? Is that a week from now?
I will pick up the traffic recording device on Monday. I will recharge the battery. I will replace it on Wednesday next week. I'll let it go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So couldn't we
And
make
then
the
we'll
recommendation?
pick it up, but I'll be gone. So
Right, but but somebody in your place could take the data. I'm just wondering, couldn't we recommend what we want to recommend to council, barring the data that's coming in from the other? I mean, can we just make the recommendation?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Before Dean and before we had in-house engineers, if something like this came up, the city put it up. If they got final approval. So it's not a matter, I mean, we do it or we don't do it.
Final approval from this committee or final approval from
Council.
From council. So can we recommend it to council? I mean, could I make that motion that we recommend to put a stop sign up barring any kind of data weirdness that comes through?
Yeah, I'll withdraw and you can put yours up.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize. You-
Friendly amendment. Who seconded that, Joyce?
I did.
Yeah. I'm
So what do
sorry.
you want us-
I forgot that we had a motion on the floor, Randy. Sorry.
Okay. Any further discussion? Now, I'm not dismissing you, Dean. I do get it. We got to have data and stuff to back up stuff, blah, blah, blah. But doggone it, without you here, I mean, we put up stuff all the time.
I will have all the data ready and available for that meeting easily. And I'll have it to Dean with at least a week before the meeting to look at.
All right. So the motion was that we would recommend four-way stop at O'Keefe and Hanley with data from the traffic watcher thing, whatever you call it. Anything else you want in that, Bill?
No, I just have a question. Are you adding speed change?
We'll do that separate. Joyce, does that work for you as a motion?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Speed limit on O'Keefe. It's just O'Keefe, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess we don't have the data for Hanley, but
The speed
Well,
limit on Hanley is already 25 miles
it's
per
already
hour.
25, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we'd go lower than that. So
no. So I'll move that we change the speed limit on O'Keefe to 25 miles an hour.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh,
Any
I do
further
have a-
discussion?
I do have a question. When you say O'Keefe, you're talking about the entire stretch, correct?
Correct.
So it's beyond the, okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, discussion possible action regarding traffic safety on St. Croix Street, Bear Road, and 11th Street. This wonderful intersection revisited. Joyce, is this one yours? I think. from
Yeah.
last-
Dean, have you had a chance to look at anything there or make a recommendation?
Well, yes and no. Because we only have one traffic counter, we have not gotten to counting traffic out there. However, did do some other, kind of legwork and put some more thought into that intersection. There was not a crash history for that intersection. I'm not saying that it's not dangerous or unsafe, but there's just not any crashes that were reported, at least in 5 years, that I found. That being said, it is confusing, I would think, to especially anybody who's not familiar with that intersection, that the through movement is the, kind of St. Croix to Bear movement rather than just going straight through. So if you're stopped on 11th Street and you don't know what the heck's going on out there, you might not know that, St. Croix from your left or Bear from the kind of diagonal from you is where you're supposed to be looking for the traffic. So I can understand that the concern there. I did kind of think about this a little more. There's a few options that could be used for the intersection. I did kind of sketch up some stuff to, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a screen share or not, but did have some sketches that I put together. I don't know if whoever's running this, if I could
Is
get
that
my
Nate?
screen
You do
share.
that?
Yep. Oh, maybe I can't. Let's see. Dean, do you know what I hit there? Oh, there we go.
share screen. Perfect. All right. Thank you. So let me bring this up here. So I was kind of thinking, so there's a few different options you can put out there. So one would be, what you see on my screen is always stop.
Well, you just talk about our policy.
We're just talking through alternatives right now, Randy. So not saying this is or isn't the option to go with, but I'm just saying it is something to consider. Second thing that I was thinking of is that we could essentially restrict some of the turning movements at the intersection. So in this one that I'm sharing right now, essentially if you're driving on St. Croix or Bear or whatever, you essentially couldn't cross the middle of the intersection. So it eliminates some of the potential conflict points, so that, you know, if somebody's coming off of 11th, all they have to really be concerned about is looking to their left and looking to their right, and then they can go whichever direction, but they couldn't turn left onto St. Croix Street.
I don't
Or
think that
onto-
would go over well.
No, that's I can just hear all the complaints, and I'm going to get on that one because if you know, because St. Croix continues, and there's all these apartments, or you know, there's the townhouses down that street, so
Sure.
they're not going to be happy that they can't make a left turn from Bear into their area.
Yeah.
And I know I when I take Bear, I'm turning on left onto 11th, so
Sure.
the people in my neighborhood aren't going to be happy with that either.
Yeah. With that option, I mean, essentially you just go at 10th instead of just a block over. So this is another kind of option that you could do. Instead of closing off the center of St. Croix, you could essentially close off 11th completely from the intersection. So kind of you turn right onto St. Croix, and that's the only movement you could do, but it keeps St. Croix and Bear going through. So these dots would be like delineators or something to direct people so that they couldn't do that movement.
That's not going to work either. I mean, so then you've got a dead end on St. Croix if you're turning right off of 11th.
Yeah, so essentially the apartment building, they would come down St. Croix and then they'd have to go on to 11th, and then 11th would essentially turn into a dead end, like an extended dead end just to the apartment building essentially. So
yeah, I I can imagine what I'm going to hear of that app when that got put in.
Well, so I mean,
No,
if
we
you
could
wanted
keep
to,
Joyce busy for a while if we send that. If we
Thanks,
send that
Randy.
to council.
I'll make the, no, I'm just
so that being said, if you wanted to keep all of the movements at the intersection, yet also kind of hopefully take care of some of the potential issue with confusion at the intersection, an always stop would probably be the solution there. Now, knowing the area, it's coming off of Bear, because you're coming from under that railroad bridge. There's not a lot of sight distance either. So one of the warrants, so to speak, for an all-way stop is that if you have sight distance issues that would require people to actually stop to be able to make the safe movement of traffic and stuff like that. So I could see that as being a justification for an all-way stop at this intersection because of especially Bear Drive, that leg of the intersection.
God, that looks anxious. It looks like it might be the only viable thing right now.
Yeah, and we were talking with some people who have been around the city for a while, and somebody was saying that this used to be an all-way stop intersection. I don't know when or
It was a
anything.
long
Obviously,
time
I
ago.
wasn't around for that. And whoever said that when Bear Drive had to stop, it was kind of pandemonium because school traffic, I think, in the morning, getting backed up there. That being said, this is all hearsay, so I don't know if that's actually true or if that's just kind of a perceived thing. So, yeah, anyway, so that's, I guess, where I'm at with this intersection is if we don't want to close off any of the movements, then an always stop would make sense to do here.
So what about putting stoplights and speed bumps? Just kidding.
We need a policy for that, Bill.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, exactly. No, you don't.
In this case, speed isn't really the issue. It's more I know you're being facetious, but speed isn't exactly the issue here. It's kind of more the sight distance. That's the problem here. So,
What's your pleasure, committee?
Oh, gosh.
Right?
I don't think we've got a lot of choices except for an always stop if we want to improve the safety there. So I'll make the motion that we recommend to council an always stop there.
I'll second.
Any further discussion, Chief Willem? Nothing from Chief? All right. Any further discussion by anybody? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
This must be a record, 2 stop signs
Yes.
in one meeting. I mean, Randy never wants stop signs.
That was like 6 stop signs.
I still
Right.
Well, 2 intersections.
What's
Yeah,
got in India?
you might be
Just kidding.
All right, number 9, discussion possible action regarding traffic safety on Heritage Boulevard.
So we received some data. You guys have seen that. I reached out to Chief Willems shortly after receiving that and just asked for another couple of points, specifically where my concern on Heritage Boulevard is actually on the other side as well, of Heritage Greens. And so we're looking at gathering more data there. I did reach out to Stacy Hassan, and she was not able to make this meeting today. So I'd like to just move this to the next meeting. Although Chief Willems, you don't need any kind of formal motion on placement in the future of another box, right?
I wouldn't think so. There's probably 2 places on that entire stretch I'd even be able to fix it. One of them, the one up on Heirloom where I did it the first time, and the other one, would be way farther south. So
Correct.
Okay, so we'll put that on to the next meeting. Thanks,
Correct.
Bill. Number 10, discussion possible action to erect a deer crossing sign on Carmichael Road south of Faith Community Church. This came from last time, or where did this one come from?
came from you, I think.
Yeah, from Plan Commission, I think. There's some concern about all the deer that were living out there are now crossing back and forth. It's just a matter of putting up a deer crossing sign. I don't know if it's an issue or not, but what's your pleasure? It is now in the city of Hudson, or will be.
I think it's probably a good idea to warn people about deer because we've got so many. We need to, a better solution would be to look at our contract for managing the deer and increasing the numbers that are being managed.
That should be coming up here in August, September.
I think usually they start doing that right around the bull hunt season, and that usually starts in September.
Mm-hmm.
So one small thing, I'm guessing the section that in question of Carmichael Road is kind of between Faith Community Church and say Hillcrest Drive. right?
It has to be on our side because it's only
Yeah.
zone. The county or the township has the other side past, you know where I'm talking.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that we were putting signs up on our part of Carmichael if we ended up doing that. Don't want to be
So the
throwing
only
signs on
place that-
somebody else's property.
Yeah.
So I will
Yeah.
say too that deer crossing signs in a lot of cases are not very effective because deer obviously don't just
They
cross
don't
the
read
deer
the
crossing
signs.
signs. But in this case, because you're kind of going from a urbanized area to a rural area to an urbanized area, and there's a change in there, I can understand kind of alerting people that because the character of this area is changing, that it might be fine to put them up in this kind of an area. So
I think it needs to go on to the furthest south on the east side to our property or within reason. And the same with on the west side going south. You know what I'm saying? So I'll move we put it up.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Number 11, discussion possible action to install stop and yield sign on Heritage Green at Tribute Avenue.
So I was approached by a neighbor of mine asking about another kind of an odd intersection. We just went through another odd intersection. And we went out there. It was Miraz and Dean and myself and my neighbor, just to kind of talk through that whole intersection. We had done some action there. Gosh, I want to say 2 years ago. And it's where Red Cedar Canyon comes into Heritage Greens. They kind of merge there, and then it feeds out to Hanley. So we had really good discussion. Dean, I don't know if you have had, I think in your notes you said that you don't have enough data to make a recommendation at this point yet.
well, like you said, Bill, it's a tricky intersection because it's the angles of the streets in that area are really funky, and so I think some of the problem is that people don't know which street is the through street, so to speak. Right. And there's yield signs up there, but if they're on, I don't know if they're on the right approach essentially of the intersection. I did. I'll share my screen again here real quick. So, oops. This is what the intersection looks like right now. So Tribute is the northeast leg. Red Cedar Pass is both the northwest leg and the southeast leg. Really funky directions here. So this is what's existing out there right now. There's a yield sign off of coming from Red Cedar Canyon, and there's also a yield sign coming from Heritage Boulevard. Heritage Boulevard is kind of right down at the bottom of the screen here. So it's just this little stub kind of between Tribute and Heritage Boulevard here. So it's like, what do you do with this intersection? There's not really, I mean, I think Jeff said that there was one crash back in 2014, if I remember correctly from what you said, Jeff.
Yeah, wasn't that intersection, weren't we talking about Tribute and Heritage Green?
Isn't that it?
No, this is Tribute and Red Cedar Pass. This is the intersection you want to talk about, right, Bill? This one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, because in our agenda, it's talking about Heritage Green and Tribute Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Bill and I are on the same wavelength because this is the one we talked about. Sorry about that. Right.
Can we still talk about this one?
Well, that's Heritage Boulevard or Tribute, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry about that. I didn't catch that either. So this is what's out there right now. There's the yield signs on 2 approaches, but people kind of, yeah, because of the angles, it's
So-
not really clear,
So
what
if I could, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dean.
No, that's fine.
If
Go
I
ahead.
can just kind of interject here a little bit so that Joyce and Randy and Chief Williams can kind of understand. So the road coming in from the left is red cedar, right? And there's a lot of people that live back there and they want to connect with Hanley. So they come through and they see the connection with the road in the lower part of the right as sort of the through street. It feels like when you drive that seems like a through street. The one in the upper right here is why this intersection is a little more knotty now than it was 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, is the homes that are built on the very top edge of the screen there. Now that we've built out homes up there, people are coming out into those streets, and so the odd placement of not having a yield sign, a third yield sign there is when you're driving down Tribute, you're actually taking a left, and that street has the right of way, which seems odd to me.
And I would agree that is odd because of it kind of looks, this intersection looks like it should be kind of a T intersection with kind of Tribute and Red Cedar Pass like being the top of the T.
Right.
So, but because of the angle coming in and people's propensity to turn right here,
Let's see the proposal.
kind of a problem. So I was thinking about it, and first of all, you can't put a yield sign on all 3 approaches because then who's yielding to who? It's very confusing. Just thinking about it a little bit more, so because the conflict here is really between people coming on Tribute from the top right portion of your screen and the people coming from Red Cedar Pass, which is the left portion of your screen. They come up to the intersection and both are seeing the sign, then I'm thinking maybe that they will both like slow down and kind of have more heightened awareness, and the people are trying to kind of funnel into that little stub to get to Heritage Boulevard. Anyway, so it's kind of like if you go to like a shopping mall and you come into the shopping mall and you don't have like a stop sign, you can turn right or left onto the circulating road or whatever, but the people on the circulating road have a stop sign or a yield sign or something. It's kind of what I was thinking that this could be, is people kind of approaching here having to turn on to get to Heritage Boulevard would both have to think a little bit more about what they're doing as they turn onto that street. So
This is your recommendation, Dean?
I think it's worth trying out to see.
Yeah.
I think that, in this case, because it's such a funky situation, I think we should kind of try it and observe it and kind of see if this will help people understand the dynamics of what's going on here. And if for some reason it doesn't, if we see people haven't figured it out, we could revisit this and try something else. But I think this is a good first try at this to see if it'll fix the problem or
Bill?
improve it.
Yeah. So I agree. There's another facet to what we're talking about here, which is in the lower part of the screen, Dean, that we can get to in a second, right? Where it's the stop sign. That was the initial question brought up by my neighbor, right? Changing that from a stop sign to a yield sign.
Down at Heritage Boulevard.
Correct. Is that something that we are still looking at, or from a data standpoint?
I haven't really looked into that one as much. I know we had talked about the next intersection down Heritage Boulevard from there as a stop sign, and we want to keep that one as a stop sign because there's a building in the way for people being able to see around the corner. So that makes sense.
Let's focus on this.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we'll get to that. Thank you. That's a really good point. Here is, I think that's a good move, and I think it's the right move. Again, it's the compliance to the yield sign that already exists that we're not changing. That seems to be the issue in that intersection. It's the Red Cedar Pass. It's neighbors coming there wanting to get to Hanley in a fast route, right? And so they're coming through there, and they're not. So it's more of a compliance thing. I think this is the right move, though, and I will move that we move the existing yield sign basically across the street, right?
Is there a second? Second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Someone answering their phone?
That's the house phone. It'll keep
So-
ringing,
Jim,
sorry.
get the phone.
So Dean, in terms of that stop or yield sign, the way it's listed on 11, except it's not here at the screen, do we want to just move forward and just talk about that one? I mean, it's not a safety issue right now. Do we want to just have a discussion and move that to the next meeting and have a discussion?
Yeah, Bill, it's not on the agenda for that, so.
You're talking now, Bill, about at Red Cedar Pass and Heritage Boulevard.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes, it's not listed.
Yeah, we
Right.
get next time.
Yep.
All right,
Yep, I'll take a look at it for next time.
number 12, discussion possible action to install traffic. Wait, did we vote on that?
Yes,
We'd
we
vote-
did.
Okay, sorry. Discussion possible action to install traffic signals on Carmichael Road and Mayor Road. This has been coming up in our plan commission meetings because of the possibility of apartments going in on the corner of Mayor and Carmichael and the development happening across the way. It suggests off of the traffic study that was done that eventually it needs to be controlled, signaled, but not at this point. But it's my opinion and a lot of others that live up there, and Dean, you will disagree with me that it's not warranted at this point. But I would like to have someone do a financial cost of making that happen. So I'm not looking for an approval for it, but I would like to have it started to design and put stop lights on that intersection. Is that clear as mud?
So you're wanting to start studying the intersection for a signal, essentially, or?
Get the cost. I want to see the cost because there is some shared possibilities of the cost. So the city would not have to bear it all. And I just need some numbers. So what I'm looking for is, yes, a cost estimate of it to have it all signaled.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'll have to reach out to our consultants probably to get that estimate for that, but I certainly can do so.
Okay. So I guess I don't know if we need formal action on that or not. It's
want
just
that
we're
on the
looking.
next- Do you want that on the next meeting then? Is
Yes.
that enough time, Dean?
Oh yeah, I mean that's if it's just getting a cost estimate, yeah, that should be no problem.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think we need formal action. Number 13, discussion possible action regarding traffic safety on McCalligan Street. I was contacted by the residents up there. They have traffic concerns because they're parked on both sides of the street and people are speeding and there's kids going in and out of the cars. And someone's going to get hit is what they're worried about. So they're suggesting parking on one side or the other. But I would suggest we start with enforcement first. Jeff, I don't know what your opinion is up there.
I don't know what part we're talking about. Namakagon's a funky road. Are we talking about the The north-south section, we talking about the east-west section, we talking
Not
about?
the loop.
Right.
It's all the way to Hanley. That
Okay,
south to north.
and then it connects with O'Keefe as well. So what part of Namacoggin are we talking about?
The highly density. Well, it's all pretty.
It's all dense. That's why I tried to reach out and call this complainant, and the voicemail box was full, and I couldn't ever get a hold of the person. So I just want to know, where are we talking about?
It's
The north and southbound Namacoggin, or are we talking about the east and westbound Namacoggin?
north and south.
Okay, so like by the apartment buildings, or just
Yeah.
north of that.
Yeah. And I recommend just starting with traffic enforcement right now and just see if they're speeding and see if there's issues, and let's revisit it at our next meeting. Or as it comes up again, I can try to reach out to her as well.
Yeah, when I was reading that, I was thinking that they were talking about the east-west part and where it curves to head south.
Well, they're all.
But
That's
it's,
the
yeah,
whole
it is,
there, so.
there's so much going on there everywhere.
So let's play it by ear, I guess. We'll take a look at it, enforce for now, see where the issues are. I'll reach out to the lady again and we'll go from there. All right, number 14, I hold over to our next meeting. 15, informational items. Is there any? No, okay, 16, EMS. John, executive summary. Thanks for waiting.
Wow. Good evening. So I will go over the volumes for July, and I think everyone's aware we have our next EMS Performance Review Committee scheduled for next Tuesday. That's going to be at the Hudson Fire Hall, the new station, and I think it's at 7 o'clock. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys just a review of the Hudson calls for July. So in July, we had 91 calls in the city of Hudson. We average about 100 calls a month just in the city of Hudson. So we're a little below average there. Last month, we were way over. We were at 120 last month. Of that, 64 of those calls were considered emergent response, lights and siren response. And we had 27 that were non-lights and sirens. Of the emergent response, we had an average response time of 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And then our 90th percentile, 90% of the time we're arriving on scene from the time of the call within 6 minutes and 23 seconds. Our en route time, which we measure every month, we're constantly monitoring that with our crews. When we were down at City Hall, we couldn't make, it was really tough for us to make it under 2 minutes to get en route, just because we had to go across the street. And so now we're right now 90% of the time we're at 1 minute. So that's a great improvement. We kind of assumed that that's what we would see. Just for your guys' information, for the first 6 months, actually I included all of July in this too, 458 emergent calls. We averaged 4 minutes and 3 seconds. In the 90th percentile, 6 minutes and 46 seconds. So those are good numbers, I think. In July, we had 6 times of all the calls in Hudson, 6 times the ambulance responded from outside the city. This is the first month where we had 2 cases where we responded from Lakeview Hospital. So one of them was from the ambulance base. So what happened is we got 2 back-to-back calls right away in Hudson. And then immediately following that, a 3rd call came in. So that truck wasn't en route yet to cover in Hudson. In that case, they still had a 12-minute response time to Hudson, which we're not going to get any mutual aid services to Hudson in that amount of time. And then the other case was, I believe it was last weekend, on a Saturday. We had 41 calls that day. The crews we were hopping. And we had another call. The Hudson, one of the Hudson trucks transported a patient to Lakeview, and a call came in, and they responded from the emergency department to, I think it was the ice arena actually, and that was a 10-minute response. So still, coming from a long ways out, those are still some, I think, respectable response times. Obviously, we don't want to always do that. The other ones were 4-minute response, 22nd Street and Stagecoach. One was 36 and Highway 95. It was a routine response for a standby. We had no mutual aid calls for the month of July in any of our Hudson service area, actually any of our Wisconsin service area. We responded to 40 mutual aid calls for the month of July. All 40 of those were in River Falls. For our overall service, just for your information, we had 925 calls for the month of July. That's an all-time record for us. Obviously, each month will be a record for us, but that's way over what we expected. And still, our times are good. We're not giving away mutual aid calls. And as a service, we responded to 92. We provided mutual aid 92 times for other services throughout the entire metro and Wisconsin. Just some informational stuff, department informational stuff. 11 of our paramedics. I didn't understand that. 11 of our paramedics completed paramedic school, critical care course. We had, I don't remember if I said this last month, but we completed our Wisconsin license renewal. Those are due at the end of June. The state of Wisconsin expanded that out to September, but our goal was to get everything in before the end of June when the original date was. But with the emergency declaration, everything was extended out, including all of our staff licenses needed to be renewed by June 30th, and we got all the staff licenses renewed as well. We have been in negotiations with the Sheriff's Department to provide paramedics to the SWAT team, and we're working on contract language right now. I think that kind of sums up my report, if you guys have anything to add to it.
How's Bridget's health?
She's good. She's back at work, and she was going to be here at the meeting tonight, but she had something else going. I said, go do it.
Very good. That's good to hear. Any questions for John? All right. Fire. Scott St. Martin, are you on? Thank you, John.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. We've been busy, actually. We had a little lull, kind of like John said, and now we've been picking up a lot. The state park has been the busiest we've ever been. I think there's been 5 dive calls this year between us and Washington County, but we're just seeing an uptick in all of our runs. At this point, if it continues, we will set a record for runs this year. So we'll just kind of wait and see how that all goes, but we're, keep going. And so far, we're knock on wood, everyone's staying healthy.
Good.
Working on the budget right now.
Ahead of the curve.
Well, it gets harder when you have to really look hard. So we're doing that and see what we can do. We're trying to still get acclimated to the new station. The dive team is, I think they're on to their 2nd training or 3rd training with Washington County next week. That seems to be going pretty well. We got a lot of the kinks worked out with some of the communications things and that. So I think I've talked about it in the past, but just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, we are now part of the Washington County Dive Rescue Team. So when someone dials 911 and they need a dive team, they're going to get Hudson, Lower St. Croix Valley, Stillwater, Matamidi, I think a couple from White Bear, some people from Woodbury. I think it's a total of 7 departments that form this team. So basically you're guaranteed to have a full response. So it's something new, but it seems to be going really well with training, but it also increases our immediate coverage. We're working under one standard operating guidelines, one paging service, one radio frequency. So we're really hoping that it is much better, or at least an improvement for getting a number of people out there as quick as we can. So that's where we're at with the dive team. Jay Penfield is kind of leading that up. So yeah, it's going good. I mean, obviously Glenn put a lot of heart and soul into it over the years. So we had a good basis to build on, and this is just a little bit different way to look at it. Other than that, just kind of keeping busy. So do you have any questions?
Nice job with the dive team, Scott.
Hey, Scott, I have a question. In regards to your record number of calls this year, that is not in any relation because of Lakeview, correct?
Totally, it's all Lakeview because they're calling us nonstop. No, I would have to say, you know, I guess the police are usually supposedly your first in, and I would say our runs are a little down or average because you're basically calling us when you need us. And I think it's, as far as our relationship, the police are probably dealing with you a little more, first responding, but it's been nothing but positive on our side. And we appreciate only being called when you need us to help. And I would say we're probably down year over year of our EMS calls, assist calls.
Yeah, okay. That's good. I'm concerned, you know, that the general public will think, you know, our costs have gone up because Lakeview is here, and you know, we promised that, you know, we would be able to handle what we had there and use the fire department truly when they were needed. So thanks.
No, and I think I don't know what your feeling is, but we've had nothing but positive experience with Lakeview. You know, today's a good example. The crew was there, we had a fire, and Bridget was there. So not only a lot of times are we getting your crew, several times we have yourself or Bridget there also. So, you know, we've been more than happy with working together, and our volume has not changed because of that at all.
Yeah, and I would echo the same, that the relationship and the teamwork together has been great, and also with the police department too. Many compliments, the great work that both the police department and fire department have done on some very critical calls. So nice work, you guys.
Well, it's great to see you guys working as a team. Appreciate it.
I got a quick question for Scott. Scott, did you want to talk about the Zodiac?
Yeah, I can touch on it real quick. Our Zodiac went down about a month and a half or 2 months ago. We were on a call in the middle of the night, hit something in the river. We've waited because some insurance things to find out that the insurance is a higher deductible than the value of the boat. So we'll be coming to council with replacing that with it's called a Whaley boat. It's all plastic. We're going to kind of stay away from the Zodiac. That was a little bit of a issue with maintenance on it. And that's our small boat we use for inland waterways, and then we use it for the river when we don't have the main boat in, kind of off season. So we're going to be able to repurpose the motor and the trailer and basically everything else on it except the boat. And we're going to purchase the boat from actually a dealer in town, and they're giving us a break on the boat. And we're planning to use contingency fund money that's available in our contingency fund. So that'll be on the next council meeting. I think the sheet should be out, but anyone has any questions, more than happy to give me a call.
And I think it goes to say too that it sounded like, from what I saw, that we have support from Joint Fire Board.
That's correct. The Fire Advisory Board supports this purchase. So,
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Police Department, Chief Willem.
As far as updates, nothing really. I'm busy again, picking up. It feels like we're a lot busier than we normally are just because for March, April, and the first part of May, there wasn't really a lot of activity going on because of the safe at home order and the lockdowns and everything closed by 6:30 at night. But it's ramping up. We're full summer swing here. The governor's mask mandate that he put in has not been a huge impact on us. We've gotten a couple of calls about businesses not adhering to the rules and not making customers adhere to the rules. But when we've investigated those are found to be unfounded issues. But I mean, our phones aren't ringing off the hook for people in non-compliance. So that's good because ultimately what everybody needs is compliance, willful compliance by everybody. And, that's good to see because quite frankly, we just don't have the resources to be able to chase those things down. I mean, you look at the next public safety agenda, there's a lot of places that my guys need to be doing safety patrols and radar enforcement and things like that. So that's what we need to be doing is responding to calls for service and doing what we do with enforcement and education and everything else. So, that's really the only update from our end.
All right. Any questions for Jeff? Seeing none.
No, I wanted to make a comment. Sorry, I had my mute. Sounds like people are happy with the enforcement that's going on along Grandview and 17th now with that detour. So thank you for getting that going.
Yeah, no problem. We did some stuff with the speed trailer up there and obviously some extra enforcement. I mean, realistically, what you're doing is you're taking thousands of vehicles, putting them through a neighborhood that's never seen that volume. So, there's going to be inherent issues with that. People aren't used to driving those roads. People aren't used to the speed. So, it took a couple of people to call and we were up there and we do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Anything for the next meeting? I think we got enough.
There's 10 agenda items as far as I can see already.
I'd like to bring up just one item, the three-way or the all-way stop sign at 17th and that's Cooley. People really like having that there, so that might be something that we should talk about keeping that.
Yeah, put it on the next agenda. But no more, Joyce.
Okay. So we're gonna move to
else?
adjourn. I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.